to episode 36 of the Grove podcast. My name is Mos. I'm your host as usual, and I am joined today by two very special guests. I was going to give you some stick there, Tabs, but you're back again. How are you?
I'm back again. I'm here every week. I'm good. I'm gonna try and extract every ounce of positivity I can, but we'll see. Yeah, no, I'm fine. Life's good. Football's football. There we go.
Good. And we're also joined by one of my favourites, actually. I'm sorry, Tabs, to say this, and I'm sorry to anyone in the Grove. It's Ian, aka Arse Cannon Picks. Good to have you back. Good to see you again.
And you too, Moz and Tabs. It's great to be back. Lots to discuss after the last few days' events. But as Tab says, we'll bring as much positivity to the whole thing as we can. So, yeah, good to be back.
Yeah, as much positivity. And look, I'm going to get into the sad news about Martin Odegaard, and I hope his feet, are okay. He's got lovely feet, as we've all heard on this podcast before. I just hope his feet are okay. But before we start that, Ian, I want to ask, how have you been? How's your season going so far? What's your thoughts on how we've played? And just talk to me, or moan if you're not happy.
No, I'm very, very happy with the season start. It's kind of strange because I think the Marino injury and the right red card, now and you can add the Odegaard injury into that as well, has kind of put a bit of a kibosh on the positivity. But it's been like we've played really, really well so far this season. We had an excellent win away at Aston Villa. We had a kind of a standard home win against Wolves, and we were robbed of another standard home win against Brighton. So I think we're playing really, really well without reaching the top levels that we did at the end of last season and parts of last season. A few players are not firing on all cylinders, but I think we've been excellent since we started. It's just a shame the few bits of bad news came with it. So yeah, I'm trucking along happily.
One thing that I would say that really helped me after the 1-1 draw at Brighton was seeing you with your Burger King in hand, and I kind of went to shake your hand, and you just went in for the hug, and that just made me feel so much better. So if you ever see Ian around, then definitely hug him, because he's a nice cuddly guy and he makes you feel better. That sounds so weird. I'm not heading in that direction today on the
pod. First up it was Odegaard's feet, and now Ian's cuddles. Yeah, what next?
What's your thoughts on the kind of we say 3 signings, but really 4 if you include David Raya as well. What's your thoughts on the transfer window? In fact, I want to ask, what would you give it out of 10?
I'd give it a solid 7 out of 10. Neto obviously he's a stopgap really when you think about it. We got him in on loan, an experienced keeper. I think we were wise to keep our powder dry with that signing. There was talks of us signing Garcia. Is it Garcia from Espanyol, for 30 million? That would have been crazy to sell Ramsdale for what we did and buy another keeper. So I'm happy with the stopgap. Love Calafiori. He looks solid. He's a baller. He's built differently. And I know we've 245 left backs already at the club, but I think he's gonna eventually get that kind of left back spot and make it his own. I think long term that's Arteta's plan for him. He's going to be another brick in the back 4 wall that we have. Marino, I was so excited about, and I still am. He's going to be such a baller. I really feel as though he's going to help us so much, not just him as a player, but how he's going to affect other players and how he'll free people up to play in their own natural positions, aka Declan Rice being able to play as a 6, Havertz being able to play as a striker up top. So I'm really gutted that he fell to Big Gabby's arse, or whatever happened to him when he fell on him in training. And Sterling as well. I'm really happy with Sterling. Like he wasn't any of our first choices, I wouldn't say, but when you break the whole thing down, he's like, I think it's something that could work out very well. He's got a point to prove. I think he's going to play out of his skin. He's fighting for a contract, not at Chelsea because he has a big huge contract, but he wants out of there. He's fighting for a contract either with us or somebody else. There's no loan fee. He's bags of experience. He's a proven winner. He's got 4 Premier League titles, an FA Cup, like 5, I think, League Cups. He hasn't won the Champions League yet. That's why he came to Arsenal this season. And like no, again, no loan fee, no loan fee, and no obligation as well. We're paying 40% of his wages apparently, so he can play both sides. He's going to take minutes out of Saka's legs, which is very, very important. So yeah, all told, I'm very, very happy with the window. I know we didn't get our marquee striker / forward signing, but again, the powder is dry, and in January or next summer, we will get that person, I think.
On Sterling, what do you think it would take for him to do to earn a contract next year?
I'm really sorry, guys, that you guys froze there. Could you say that again?
Okay. I was just saying, like, what would it take to for Sterling to do for us to offer him a contract next year? Like, he's not here on loan. You said his Chelsea future is done and dusted. What would it take?
Yeah. It would take him to rethink his wages, which I think he would. If he gets a payout from Chelsea, I think he would gladly take a pay cut. But for on the pitch, I mean, he'd have to really, really consider what we think that we want to like spend big on a an attacker in some form. He'll have to really pull out all the stops. We're talking double figures probably in goals and 6, 7, 8, 9 assists. Like you're probably nearly talking 20 goals and assists across the season for us to kind of feel not obliged, but feel as though we want to sign him. But it would have to be on like a 1+1 or maybe a 2+1 deal on no more than 100,000 a week. So yeah, he'd have to do something quite special, I think, for us to go get him full time.
Quick trivia question: name me one other footballer who has played for Arsenal,
Anelka.
Chelsea. Look, well done, Tad. Yeah, so the question was, name me one other footballer who's played for Arsenal, Chelsea, City, and Liverpool, and it is. So look, that is a fantastic career to have. So he's not just a random, nobody that we've just plucked out of. Well, we did pluck him out of thin air. Edu did admit he wasn't, in our thoughts at the start, but the transfer window is very evolving, isn't it? Through the course of the summer, it changes a lot. It has a lot of moving parts. The only worry I've got is, will he be able to? The good thing is he's played with he's played under kind of Arteta before, and I think Arteta was quite influential at his time at City with Sterling. The only worry is, where does he actually fit in? Does he take minutes off Saka and let him rest, or does he end up playing more than what Martinelli and Trossard do and almost stunt their development, or stunt Martinelli's development? Certainly, I can see him being an important player for us, though. Potentially, we'll get into this in part 2 of the pod, but potentially on Sunday with a huge injury. And if you're wondering what the injury is, then you might not want to listen past this point of the podcast and just pretend everything's okay. But because as a result of that injury that we are faced with, it might mean that Havertz has to drop into midfield, and someone like Sterling could potentially play on the wing or through the middle. So yeah, no, fair enough. Good little update, Ian. And like I said, it was really good to see you at the airport, and hopefully there'll be many more trips to come where we get to spend time with each other again. Outside of Stansted, actually in London this time.
Yes, in London, not in the cinema, but in a bar with a pint, and there'll be lots more hugs.
Yeah. You can't let him get away with that. And going to a cinema, the day before an Arsenal game's unforgivable.
I warned him. He's been warned.
Good. Anyway, right, moving on. So international break, the most pointless international break ever. We've only been back for 3-4 games, and then suddenly these internationals come along, and there was a huge discussion in the Grove chat today where I won't name names, but there were some very animated discussions, and people had their own strong opinions on internationals. So Tabs, I know what you're going to say. And I kind of agree with you. I think internationals are good because, as Ian just alluded to, some of the players haven't been firing on all cylinders yet. So international football is just extra games that they can play to get match fit and to keep just working away and training and playing instead of having like a 2 week break. However, on the flip side of that, you see Calafiori had to come off injured after they played against France. So we don't really know how bad it was. It didn't look overly bad. I think it was maybe like a gash in the back of his calf potentially. He did come back he came back to the club as a precaution, but I guess it's just one of those things where it could happen to anyone. Look at Nathan Ake. He's been stretchered off yesterday, so hasn't really played for Man City much this season, but he was stretchered off, and there'll be other players that we don't even know who will be injured. There's rumours that João Pedro is injured, and he's now back in Brighton, and so these things happen. However, the main man, Martin Odegaard, just look, playing against Austria, Nations League, doesn't mean anything if you win it or if you're in Division A. No, but still nice to have a friendly game. I guess I still think they're pointless, these friendlies, but he's not fractured his ankle. But someone, Tabs, talk me through what happened. What did you see? What was your thoughts? What was your feeling? How badly did your stomach turn when you seen his ankle roll?
No, it was horrible, and it's what you fear. It's what you fear most with these internationals and going away. It's the one thing. Just come back fit, come back healthy, and then to see that something innocuous. Did he go into the international break with an injury? Should we have been a bit more careful keeping him and sort of say demanding and saying, look, you got a massive whack against Brighton. You should really be staying back. And then when that happens, it's just bad luck. It's just luck. I mean, there's so many things at play here, and there's so many different angles. I mean, in terms of the international football is international football, and you've got to play at some point. I think we're just feeling the pain because so early into the season, the fixtures coming up, the fact that Rice got a red, Marino's injured, now it's a compound effect which has turned a manageable problem into potentially a crisis where he could miss seven games, and it was like the worst outcome because also I think as we've discussed before, it's the one player we don't really have an analog for within the team. Everyone else has a sort of replacement somewhere along the line, but he's the one that we did, and it's not like our squad. And it's not like, we let certain players go, as in like the likes of Vieira, who is also injured, funnily enough, or Emil Smith-Rowe. Because if you look at the minutes they got last year, they weren't playing in that position. And if you look at what happened pre-season, Vieira was playing out wide, not in the Odegaard position at all. So even then, I think, if you were to ask Arteta what his midfield was going to be like after the international break, it'd be Marino, Rice, and Odegaard, and they're all fucked. So, and in terms of internationals, look, players want to play for their country. They love playing for their country. Martin Odegaard, I'm sure he loves being captain for Norway, wants to represent. So you can't stop that. I think maybe there's a duty of care that we need to have in terms of if he's injured, we should really not be going. But he can force it, and then to have that argument. Say, well, we don't want you to go, then that causes friction with the player and the club. What does that have? So it's a really difficult. I think the wider problem is just too many games, too many internationals, too many domestic games, just too many games. But and I think and in terms of this international itself, I think Rice was saying actually it's a good thing. Because he was not up to speed. He's now using these to get up to speed. So this early, there shouldn't be any issue from a fatigue point of view or fitness point of view for the players because it's 3 games in, 4 games in, 2 games in 2 weeks. How is it? Rare played at 180, Saliba played 180, Gabriel played 180. I'm worried about him because he only finished at like 1:30 a.m. this morning. Partey played 180 minutes. Rice, Saka, my God, he got substituted. Havertz, another 180 minutes. But they should be fine. But it's just the knock-on effect, and we have to manage them later. Yeah, I think it's just circumstances. How we deal with it. It'll be really interesting to see how we deal with it. But if there was one player, say, please don't get injured, it was Odegaard.
Ian, can we or should we stop players going on international duty?
Can we? You can do the old Fergie trick, and the poor Ryan Giggs only got half of the caps he should have done for Wales. It's hard, like, as exactly as Tab said, it's hard. Martin Odegaard is very proud to be the Norwegian captain. Like, you can't really take that away from him. But in this instance, again, as Tab said, like, when you've taken a knock, such a big knock in a game, like, that's the time you say, here, look, not this time, Martin. We understand. Norway's very important to you, and going out and getting points for your country is very important. But like this, with the games we have coming up, we need you. But like when you just factor in, when you think about Arsene Wenger, I'm going to read. I wrote down an Arsene Wenger quote that I love from going back to the days when our players were getting injured while Wenger was the manager. He said, "It's like taking my car out of the garage without my permission, and use the car for 10 days and then abandon it in a field with no petrol." And that's basically what the countries do. And like the real what's the word I'm trying to think of? The situation is that the clubs are paying for these players. They're like, Martin Odegaard gets paid something along the lines of £12 million a year from Arsenal, and now he's going to miss possibly the toughest stretch of games for his club. And I'm not saying that we should take players away from their country and not allow them to play for the country. It's not like that. But there has to be some form of a balance. There has to be some form of some better way of doing it, so that these international breaks aren't as frequent and so soon into seasons as they are. Like, maybe something could be done with the calendar. I don't know how. There's so many games. Again, as Tab says, with all the games of the Premier League, the Champions League, there's more games now. Like, I don't know where it goes. To answer your question, Moz, you can, in a sneaky way, stop players from going. Should you? Probably not. But at the same time, this is the repercussion. This is what happens when you don't.
I think that there should be a 6-week break at Christmas, and internationals are played in 2 or 3 of those weeks, and then the other 2 or 3 weeks are completely a break, and then the season ends a little bit later. So we have a shorter pre-season, but you have a big mid-season break. I think that would help with injuries. I think it would help. You have internationals once a year, then potentially another international window, maybe in kind of March, April time, or potentially before the Christmas. But the bulk of internationals should all be played at the same time. Instead of having 2 games, just play 3. Friendly should be scrapped unless it's in the summer and there's no tournament. Because who wants to watch San Marino play against England in a friendly, in the middle of, stuff like that, essentially. That's what I believe. I do agree, though. I don't think we can stop players going on international duty. And a lot of players, I think Saka's on record saying that he loves playing for England. It's a pride thing. It's, and if I didn't hurt my knee when I was younger and I was a professional footballer, then, and I was playing for Scotland or England, I'd qualify for both. And if I was England's, top centre back, then I would love to play for my country. Yeah. We're not all Ben White, Tabs. Sorry, you've got your hand up. Very, very politely, you've got your hand up. I like that.
No, but also, players don't think like us. Fans are doomsday merchants. We'll say, "Oh, you're going to get injured. Oh, this is going to happen. This is going to happen." Players don't think like that. They don't go into going international. Oh, I might get injured here, or might that. No, they said they want to play. They're elite athletes. They feel like they're invincible, and they can go on. There has to be sensible discussion sometimes, like I said, with Odegaard, if he was injured, maybe not, but hundreds of players go out and play hundreds of minutes for internationals and don't get injured. It's just, unfortunately, bad luck. And then when that's compounded, it makes it worse. And then it comes down to, is our squad big enough? Why did we let such and such go? Have we done the right thing? Why didn't they think that we were going to lose 3 players for the Tottenham game? You can. There's only so much you can mitigate for as well, and we don't all have bottomless pits of cash like City do, so where they can cover this. So when De Bruyne was off for them for half a season or a third of a season, it was important, but they had, who did it? They had Foden they could cover, and they had the little Portuguese fellow, I've forgotten his name now.
Silva. Bernardo Silva, is that who you're thinking of?
So they had the cover from him, so they can afford to have lots of options and all those, but not majority of teams can't, and even just having bodies isn't enough, because as we showed last year, we had loads of bodies, but they played hardly any minutes, and as I said, pre-season, some of these players weren't playing or in the position, so it's just shit happens, bad luck, but then we start to blame this, that, and the other. And I do take the point. Yeah, no, the timing of this is bizarre. I don't think that this competition was actually more designed to give lower ranked teams a chance to play each other in meaningful games, rather than friendlies or the rest of it. It's just that we have to do it for everyone else. And so actually friendlies are few and far between now, and they only get played because they need to be fair on other teams playing competitive matches. So, but you're right. I think the timing of this one, does it really need it 3 weeks into a season, 6 weeks after an international tournament? But this is what happens in managers, the international, and this is what gets me, the international managers, they only care about their job. So they will play a player into the ground without any consideration for what happens to him in 2 weeks' time. And the Norwegian manager, man, he wound me up. He was so flippant about the Odegaard. I know his interview. Arteta's not really happy with me. Fuck off. You and Arteta and a million other people. It's very casual of you just to throw it like this is his career. This is his bread and butter. And you're like, Arteta's not going to be happy with me. Man.
Yeah, it was the smirk afterwards that kind of riled everybody up. It was so unnecessary.
Yeah.
And look, obviously he doesn't want Odegaard injured either, but at the same time, use a bit of discretion and don't make comments like that and then make a joke about it and laugh. It was very, very frustrating.
Yeah.
But look, to throw a little bit of a positive spin on it, like if the timescale being touted, because originally just before we came on now, it seemed like it might be a bit worse, but there was earlier on today on Twitter, there was a time scale of 4 to 6 weeks, and that means Odegaard would miss 7 games. Obviously the Spurs and the Man City game are huge, and so is the Atlanta away game in the Champions League. But after that, there's a few games that we could not. I'm not saying that we can afford to not have them.
Yeah.
But they're winnable, and I still think that we can go to Spurs on Sunday and beat them with the team that we have. I think we're more than capable. I think they've a few injuries as well. The Man City game looms large in my brain. That's not going to be easy with the players missing. But then the games after that, especially in the league, are very, very winnable. And if we get Odegaard back in, say 6 weeks even, and then we get Marino back around the same time, maybe a little bit less. Declan Rice obviously will be back. Then all of a sudden, the garden is a bit more rosy than it is right now. It's just that we have possibly the worst fixture on Sunday coming up. That's
the garden is a bit more rosy, but then Arsenal are 40 points behind Man City in the league.
I know. I see there is, like, if City go on this crazy run and if City beat us, they could be, by the time we get our players back, they could be 7, 8, 9 points ahead of us. Yeah, and that'd be horrible. But it's still a long season. It's still a long season, and Man City will have their bad luck, and they will have games where they drop points.
Well, the Invincibles, Vieira was out for 3 months of that season. Now that's a very dim time, but he was a major part of that team, and other players stepped up. So now is it time for other players now to step up? Something, for Arteta to come up with a plan, for other players to, okay, come on, how much do you want this? It is. I reckon next week is going to be, I don't know, season defining, maybe a bit, grandiose here and stuff like that, but it's going to have a huge impact on us and on the Odegaard bit. I mean, look what happened to Liverpool when Virgil van Dijk was out for practically a season. I think they finished fourth or fifth, and they struggled when they had one of their major players out. So I think it's time for us to step up to do a formation, to form us, to figure out a solution and to stay in it. I would suggest just to stay in it.
And at least at the very sorry, Moz, very quickly. At the very least, we like this has happened to us before a few seasons ago when we played Spurs away and Newcastle away, where we just missed out on fourth spot. That was right at the end of the season. We'd absolutely no time to recover. The very least, this has happened early doors, and we do have time to recover. I know Man City are a behemoth and they're a monster, and they dropped very few points, but at least we have time to get over this. It'd be much worse if this, because we've played Spurs and City away late on in the season, the last few seasons in a row, and it's cost us. But at least now we have a bit of time afterwards to recover.
And look, at the end of the day, Rice is not injured. He's only out for the Spurs game. He's back for City. Marino, we don't really know when he's back, but we're expecting him back kind of mid-October. Is that right?
I think after the next international break, I think that's when he's due back.
Yeah, so it's not the end of the world. It's just because of the caliber of the games we're playing. But I agree with you guys. I still think we can go to Tottenham away and beat them without Odegaard. We beat City without Saka, and we didn't make this much of a deal about it when Saka wasn't playing. We didn't. It was. I remember being outside the Horatia, looking at the lineup, thinking, "Oh my God, the rumours were true," and we still ended up beating. I don't know. Saka's a different player to Odegaard, and Odegaard maybe is a little bit more important to what we do. But this is a time for Thomas Partey and Jorginho and whoever else plays in midfield for basically to become cult heroes. If we beat Tottenham and Jorginho and Partey and I don't know who he's going to play in midfield, but if these guys are the ones that actually help us win it, then and let's not forget as well, without Martin Odegaard, we're not a crap team. We have the likes of Saka, we have David Raya at the back, we have Saliba, Gabriel, we've got Timber. We've got such a good team. It's not just the Martin Odegaard team. We're not like a Ronaldo at Man U. A one man band almost, if you like. So yeah, it's a tough one. I think the only other thing I would say as well is, there's so many rumours flying about. Let's just wait until Arsenal actually come out and say, because look, Arteta could say in his press conference, I'm assuming it'll be on.
There's nothing wrong. What are you worried about? He's playing.
Yeah, exactly. Arteta could come out and say, look, it's only 2 weeks. He's out for 2 weeks. He's touch and go for the City game, potentially. There could be that. I've watched back his injury a lot. The only saving grace is that his shoe came off. I think if his boot did not come off, I think that could have been a lot worse than what it was. I think it could have ended up being a fracture. So that's the only saving grace. And the other thing as well is that, look, he was able to put weight on the foot as he walked off. He did limp a lot, but he was putting weight on. So it's not the end of the world. No. And we're only 3 games in. No. We've got 35 games of the season left. We could, when Odegaard's back, we can go on a winning streak and win every single game, and no one ever remembers the injury that Martin Odegaard had. So, and the final thing I'll say about it, I just want to mention, is we've been very lucky with injuries in the last couple of years. And Tabs, you shake your head, right? But can I just say, people always say, "Oh, but Timber last season," but Timber wasn't an Arsenal player. He played 1.5 games for us, so we never really knew what impact he would have. Gabriel Jesus was a big miss, but Eddie Nketiah sure stepped in and scored his fair share of crucial goals. You remember Man U at home and that kind of thing. And then really from then, what I mean by that is lucky for injuries is, touchwood, we have not lost the likes of Saka, Saliba, Gabriel, Raya or Ramsdale. We've not lost our core defence. Rice last season, we've not lost the core players for any length of time. So we've been lucky.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yes, you're right. For our key players, so our primary players, you're right. We have been very good with injuries and in terms of management. I think my point was around Jesus, around Timber, around Martinelli towards the end of last season as well with the gash, and even Vieira and stuff. It was more the fact that we then became more reliant on those primary players and what was the impact on them, and did that extra 2%, 3% that maybe we could have given them a rest or taken them off or not played them or give someone else a chance, that even though directly it was an impact, or maybe indirectly it meant that come the end of the season, they were just a bit more fatigued than they might have been had those other players been fit or fit or available. So I think you're right. We have been lucky with our primary players who do make the difference, but those secondary players could have also helped those primary players be in better condition towards the end. Now, look, we finished the end of the season at 18-1-1. So I mean, how much better could it have been? But one of those draws or losses could have turned into a win or a draw that could have made the difference. So who knows? But no, I agree on. We have been fortunate, and that's the danger of. We were so high on last season that that we thought, oh, we're just going to do the same again. It doesn't always work like that, and something like this can just suddenly happen, or something like Rice, Marino, and Odegaard can happen, and then all of a sudden, just because you got 89 points last year and scored a record number of goals and went on that 18-1-1 streak, doesn't mean you're just going to naturally progress to 91 points or 93 points. You need everything to go your way again. And even then, who knows what's going to happen? So it's always a challenge. And look, we're moaning. Teams lose important players all the time. We feel it more because it's obviously the current situation. We feel like we're hard done by. We just got to get on with it and deal with it. And I found this quote that I said: "The strongest steel is forged by the fires of hell." So there we go. We're going through hell at the moment, and we're going to come through as the strongest steel.
Yeah, nice, and as well, like this could prove to be. I'm not saying the saving grace or anything, but there's going to be a few players now who haven't been at the forefront of Arteta's thoughts, and who knows? I don't think, say, the likes of Nwaneri will start, but he might get minutes in the next couple of games that might lift him. There'll be players who have been on the fringe of the squad and the team who are going to get minutes now, and it might help raise the floor of the team again. Like in these boys, as you said, Tabs might be able to step up and make a little bit of a name for themselves until the big boys come back. So you never know. You never know what these periods. Look at what happened to Ashley Cole. He only got in because of an injury, and we probably would never have known. Well, not never have known, but it would have probably taken a season or two for us to know how good he was. You just never know what effects this can have. Obviously, you prefer the injuries not to happen, but there might be a little surprise around the corner. You never know.
Yeah, we're talking ourselves into it.
You heard it here first. A little surprise around the corner. Arsenal are about to sign someone who's out of contract, a midfielder.
Bring in Rabiot. Bring in Rabiot.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to see if Arsenal actually consider something like that. Just because I don't think they would, though. I don't think Arteta wants to instill any panic in amongst the fans and the team as well. And he'll trust the players he has. Anyway, let's move on to part 3. This is the most important part of the season. This is when Tab says season defining. This game is it. We cannot go to Spurs away and feckin' lose, right? We don't very often, to be fair. Anyway, they're absolutely. As I said in the last episode, my new word is guff. They're absolutely guff. So I'm going to ask you guys what you're looking forward to, not looking forward to an upcoming game, but with a twist. You're not allowed to say anything related to Martin Odegaard. So, Tabs, you can go first.
I'm really looking forward to what I'm looking forward to us going there. I'm looking forward to see how we set up and beat them. And then it'll be so funny that we can go, without Rice, without the Norwegian fella, that we beat them, and we managed to find a way to do it. So I'm looking forward to that. I said I'm not so fearful of this game. I think we'll talk about it later, that there will be opportunities. If we set up in a certain way, there'll be opportunities for us to take advantage of that calamitous midfield and defence. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm just not looking forward to it. Just the usual dread of watching a Spurs Arsenal game and just the yeah, just all that fills that fills us and stuff like that. So I just hate the pain of watching these games. You enjoy the result more than the game, unless you're like 5-0 up at half time. Then yeah, that's what.
No, because do you not remember what happened last season when we were cruising and
Oh,
then suddenly everything just turns
yeah,
to
even
yeah.
5-0, I think even if we shot ourselves in the foot and Ray gave the ball to Son on 3 or 4 occasions, would still win. But anyway, so there you go. That's what I'm looking forward to. Not looking forward to.
Ian?
Yeah, almost word for word, Tabs has given my what I'm looking forward to answer. Yeah, I really hope that we can go there without the boys who are injured and suspended, because the Spurs fans are giving it large on social media. They think that they're a shoe in to beat us now, and I'm really looking forward to showing them that we are so far beyond them that you can take probably our three starting midfielders out of our team, and we can still go and beat them in their own backyard in the toilet bowl. What I'm not looking forward to is the impending heart attack when we're 2-1 up or 3-2 up with 5 minutes to go and they're throwing the kitchen sink at us. And just like last season, like one thing that, if I was to criticise this Arsenal team a little bit, it would be how many chances they miss. Like if you go back to the Brighton game, if we, and I'm talking before Rice got sent off, we probably should have been 2-3 up. And and then when Rice got sent off, it shouldn't have mattered. And we do it regularly where we miss chance after chance. And I just hope on Sunday that we take our chances, get ahead in the game, and then just hold on to it after that, because they will be bullying and going crazy to try and beat us on Sunday.
Yeah, that's kind of, I'm echoing that. So I'm looking forward to North London Derby. It's going to be good. I'll miss the game because I've got football. I'm playing on Sunday, so I'll miss the first half at the very least. Although I did say to Tabs, I might fake a wee hamstring injury or something just so I can. We talk about should you and can you play for your international clubs? Well, can you play for your Sunday league team when there's a big game like this on the line? So I'm looking forward to a North London derby. I always think they're good occasions, and looking forward to us wearing our breaking a 38-year tradition of wearing our away kit, which will be quite interesting. There's too much white in the home kit, which the Spurs fans on Twitter are loving at the moment. And they're also being very crude about Martin Odegaard's injury, and they're forgetting that they're missing their record signing Dominic Solanke through injury as well. So and Richarlison's out as well. What I'm not looking forward to though is, as Ian says, that kind of feeling when hopefully we're winning and there's 5 minutes to go and they're throwing everything, and David Raya's got everything covered. He's got our back, but you just never know what happens in football, and we'll never hear the end of it if we draw or lose to Tottenham, because they'll just think that's it. This is their season again, and all this nonsense, and the narrative then changes to, do Arsenal have it? Can they do it without Martin Odegaard and all that? And I know I mentioned him, but I'm just can they do it without a player essentially being a big player being missing? So that's that. It's hard to tell who's going to play in midfield. What's your thoughts? I have a feeling that he'll play Havertz, Jorginho, Partey in the midfield. I think he'll go with what he knows. I don't think we'll see any surprises. I think we might see Calafiori, depending on how bad his injury is. I think we might see Calafiori come in instead of Timber, and I just don't know. What do you guys think, Ian? What's your midfield three if you had to choose?
Yeah, it's going to be the most interesting lineup in the past 3 seasons, I think. I've changed my mind so many times. Like my instinct tells me that he won't want to play Party and Jorginho at the same time, but he may have to. But if he doesn't, I think Havertz will drop into midfield, and I wouldn't be surprised if he went into the Odegaard position. But my instinct is that he'll go in. Havertz will go left 8. Party will stay at 6, and I don't know. Is there some kind of a surprise in where Odegaard plays? Would he do something like? I don't think he'll start Nwaneri. Although if he did start him, I wouldn't overly complain. Like he's he's good enough. He's just whether he's old enough to be able for the occasion. Would he do something strange like put Saka in there and put Jesus if he's fit out on the right? It's just there's so many different ways that he could go about it that I can't wait for the lineup on Sunday. I can't wait till it's announced. But which three he'll go for, I've no idea. There's talk he might go for a back five and mix it up in midfield, but I can't see him doing that either. But God, I don't know. It's just a real hard one to call.
Tabs, there was talk on Twitter about Ethan Waneri potentially coming in, but he's just too young and too raw, isn't he? I think Havertz would do a better job in midfield than what Waneri could do. Who do you think? I know you've got in your notes that he's any potentially in the number 10 role, but that would be scary. That would be heart attack football for the full 90 minutes, surely.
No, that's a separate discussion. There's a couple of things that are very typical of Arteta. He doesn't like to change his formation to suit the players in a way and stuff like that, or he doesn't try to shoehorn players into position. So that's why I put it in there. Like, Zinchenko plays that role for Ukraine, but he hasn't had a sniff of playing in midfield for Arsenal in 2 years. So all of a sudden, it's very unlikely that he would do that now. A bit like putting Calafiori and Timber at the base of defence or something and pushing Partey out. I don't. That's not his operating model as such. So in terms of strange places, strange players and strange positions, he doesn't do that. A back five, I think that's a question mark because we went to a back five against Brighton, but I think that was more needs but must. But I think that could be potentially a good option. So. And I think when Aries are too young to throw in, maybe an option off the bench. That's the only curveball that I'm not too sure about. So I think it's going to be Partey, Jorginho, and Kai, but I think it might be more have Partey and Jorginho as a double pivot, so a bit more deeper, and then Kai a bit more central. So we'd have a bit of a double pivot there because I think vertically we're going to have a challenge with those two. So one goes, one stays. You can't have them both going. That's the trouble with those two is the verticality, getting up and down, and then who's going to lead the press? I guess it'll be Havertz because that's what Odegaard does. He leads the press. He brings people in. So I think maybe a little bit of a change in formation. And Jorginho, I think he's played there before. I think there's one time he's done that. But anyway, so we'll see. And then it's up front is the next thing is like, who does he play up front? If Havertz is back there, Saka, I would say we play Martinelli because of the high line Spurs play and to exploit that and Spurs play very much down the flanks, and so he's very good defensively as well as attacking wise. I think better than Trossard, and then maybe Trossard in the middle. And then Sterling as an option off the bench, and Jesus an option off the bench as well because he's returning from injury as well. So I'd be thinking it's Saka, Trossard, and Martinelli because Trossard's played false nine before. That's
the one thing that you mentioned in your notes as well is and the one thing you mentioned is without Odegaard the press is not going to be as effective, and he is that player, isn't he? So I wonder if Arteta will instruct the team to just be more compact and play our game and be very, very compact to the back, play our game, look for the passes through the channels. But I'm quite excited to see Havertz if he plays in the Odegaard role because I feel like he's that type of player that can just get the ball out from under his feet and find that killer pass, to whoever's up top or on the wings. And Kai Havertz has a bit of pace about him as well, and we've seen him score some goals from midfield anyway. So the more we talk about this and the more you guys are discussing this, I feel a little bit better about myself. I just need the Arsenal press conference though. I need to hear Arteta tell us how long Odegaard's out for, and essentially, I just need him to calm down the media and the fans and everyone, just so we know what we're dealing with. But
his focus will be look, Odegaard is Odegaard. He's not going to play. Right, I'm getting our players ready for the game.
Yeah.
We have to cope. We've got a squad. He's going to say all the right things. And look, Spurs are there for the taking. They still they play that high line. Their back four, their shape, their players are all over the place. Romero plays hero ball, and remember him like last season, he was playing practically centre forward half the time. So we have still got a very good team. that should be able to take advantage of that and set ourselves up. Now it may just be a 1-0, and we take that, and then we, thou shalt not pass. But yeah, Spurs are still not much caught. Well, they've won one, lost one, drawn one this season. They've still got the same vulnerabilities. I don't know about the injuries. I got a feeling, what's his name, Solanke, it might be back for this one. Don't give two hoots about Richarlison. He's a pile of crap anyway. So yeah. I think they're there for the taking. They give up goals. So yeah, I think we've got very much a chance.
Dominic Solanke's out until the end of September, according to Big Ange. Yeah, okay. He's out until the end of September. That's what he said in one of the press conferences, and that's what's on most of the websites when you look online. What's interesting to note as well, Ian, is Spurs haven't looked like a very good team this season. They're sitting in 10th. They drew 1-1 against Leicester. They beat Everton 4-0, but I think even my Sunday League team, who have lost the first 3 games of the season, could also beat Everton 4-0. And then, well, maybe not 4-0. We might just scrape a 1-0 win, but we'll certainly keep a clean sheet with number 2 at the back. And then they lost 2-1 to Newcastle. So are you worried about Tottenham in terms of, yes, they'll turn it on against Arsenal, but surely they're not going to be a match for us?
No, and of course we'll have to deal with the crowd as well. It's going to be a very hostile atmosphere. But you're right, we're a much better side, like a much, much better side than Tottenham are. And that's even with the injuries that we have. Do I have any fears? Yes, because anything can happen in these derbies. Like these things take funny turns. You saw what happened. We were cruising 3-0 last season, and then David Raya has a brain fart. And our backs against the wall. The Spurs are very much a team who deal with transitions. That's what worries me if Partey and Jorginho were to start. And I know they go down the wings a lot, and Martinelli and Saka are very good at covering those wings, especially Martinelli. But if they do go through the middle, and if there's quick turnovers of possession, I'd be very fearful of Jorginho's pace and Partey as well. So we just have to guide them out to the wings, I suppose. But overall, of course, you have to be. I'm going to use the word respectful. I can't believe I've just said that in relation to Spurs, but you have to be respectful against any team. So of course anything can happen, but we should still have enough quality to beat them. We really should.
So speaking of having enough quality to beat them, then what do you think the score will be?
I am going to go for a 2-1 win.
Okay. Do you think we'll score 2 goals first and then they'll score again, or do you think it'll be 1-1 and then we'll score a winner?
No, naturally we'll go 2-0 up. Saliba will sit on the ball because Spurs are shit, and the ball will squirt out to Son somehow, and he'll score, and it'll be a nervous last 20 minutes, but we'll hold on.
Okay, so you're going 2-1, Tabs? It's Spurs, isn't it? Of course we can win. Of course we will win. I don't bloody know. 1-0.
Okay.
1-0.
You're not going to like me for that.
1-0, backs against the wall. We'll get the goal and we will defend with our lives. And it will be the most horrible 90 minutes.
Yeah. Tabs, if you're going to go 1-0, you have to sing the song.
That could be the intro to next week's episode.
If we win 1-0, I'll be singing. Don't you worry.
I'm going 1-1.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no.
I don't look. Whenever I make a prediction, everyone's like, "Oh, is that what you want?" And I'm like, "No, it's not what I want. It's just what I feel. It's what I think right now." But that's because at the time of recording, it's Wednesday night. We don't know what the status is of the squad. We don't know about Calafiori, Odegaard. You never know. Marino could play one-handed against Spurs and still probably do a better job than their midfielders. And Declan Rice could play under another name. Come on, he could just spray a beard on, dye his hair, and it could just be someone that we've signed from the Icelandic, Declan Ricequist or whatever just something random. But I'm going 1-1, and I'm just going 1-1 not because of Odegaard's injury, but because it's so early on in the season. I think the players, we've had good results, but I just think we're not firing on all cylinders yet. I think this game has come maybe 3 weeks too early. So yeah, that's why. Just before we end as well, I forgot to mention this earlier on, just talking about our poor Martin. Do you guys think, out of interest, he should have went to Norway with Norway on international duty? Because don't forget, against Brighton, he was pretty hurt. He had to come off injured, and every single time the ball was out of play, he was receiving treatment on the sidelines. I was quite surprised to see him go away. What do you think, Ian? I'll go with you first.
Yeah, like we touched on it earlier on. I think it was. I think it was a bit naive of Arsenal to let him go and Arteta to let him go. As we said, like he's a very proud Norwegian. He's the captain. But this is the one time you say, please, Martin, let's keep you here. Let's get you over that knock that you took. And it was a heavy knock because he wasn't the same player during that game. After that knock, he came off, which he never does. Really, he doesn't normally come off. So I think we did make a mistake by letting him go. He like these games, I know they're a nations. Well, were both of them Nations
Yeah,
League games, or
yeah.
was one of them a friendly? Yeah.
No, they were
Look,
both.
it's just they were both. There was points involved. But at the same time, we just made a bit of a mistake. And I just very quickly want to say I'm okay with your 1-1 prediction, Moz, because you also predicted that we'd beat Brighton 5-1. So I think we're all right.
Yeah, I was about to say the same. Yeah, look, I agree. I think it was a bit remiss. I think there's an onus on Martin Odegaard as well as the club to manage themselves. This is the thing. If you're captain, if he wasn't captain, I think it would be easier. So it has more responsibility, more and things like that. So yeah, I think there was that's where I think we can criticise the club and Martin Odegaard to think, okay, travelling all the way to Kazakhstan as well, there's the travel factor and stuff. So I think this was, it's in hindsight. We're saying this in hindsight. If he came back and nothing was wrong, we would have just like. But I think, sometimes we can be smarter here. I think. I mean, I love the way the club operates. I love the way the club takes care of its players. If you look during the summer, we wanted to find football for the likes of Nketiah, for Nelson, for Smith Rowe. We wanted to take care of them as people. That's why we've given them the contracts they got in the past to reward them. But also we were taking care. We didn't want them to rot on our reserves. It's not good for them. So I like the way we operate. And again, same like this. You want to play for your country, and we respect that. And I like the fact that we're respectful of our players. Now, the consequences of that is shit like this maybe happens, but I'd rather be that way inclined and have that respect for our players and all the rest of it than operate like other clubs do, where they don't give two monkeys about the personnel of the way Chelsea operate with their players and stuff, and where other teams treat their players. So I will happily take the hit for who we are rather than the alternative.
Oh, Dear Gaard. That's the title of this podcast. I've just thought that up on the spot, just thinking about that. Ian, it was lovely having you on. It feels like we could have spoke for hours and hours today, but we're going to get you back. Really, really enjoy having you on with your views and your. It's nice to have someone on the podcast that's cool, calm, and collected. I've had to deal with Tabs for a long time now, so thank you so much for coming on. Just straight after work as well. And Tabs, thank you as well. What's your boys' plan just before we leave? Tabs, what's your plans for watching the game? Were you watching it?
Just on the sofa downstairs. The two of us will be downstairs. I
just want to clarify, that's not me and you, that's you and your son, isn't
it? He's got football in the morning, back for a bit of lunch, and then we'll watch the game. And we just make sure all pets are not in the room during the game, because they often get scared when it hits the fan during these games.
And Ian, don't tell us, don't wait until this minute to tell us you've got a ticket for the game or something.
I've got a ticket for the game. No, I don't. No, I'll be watching it from my couch as well. And as always happens when I'm watching Arsenal Spurs, I'll start off sitting in the couch, calm, relaxed. But by the 70th, 80th minute, I'll be like one nose length away from the screen, shouting and screaming like a lunatic, to stop playing stupid passes. So I'll start off nice and relaxed and end up like a lula. But yeah, I'll be at home.
There's a lot of pacing
Yeah.
that goes on, and then there's a lot of like, if I leave the room, then nothing happens. It's a corner. It's right. I'm going to go to the kitchen because no one ever scores when you're in the kitchen, so it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm surprised you said 70th or 80th minute. I think that happens to me kind of at half time, once the boys come out for
Yeah.
the second half. So I'm undecided. I don't know whether I'm going to play on Sunday or not. If I do, I'm going to miss probably the full game. If I don't, then I'll be watching it in the house. On the sofa, just like you guys. So yeah, thanks very much for joining us, the two of you. We'll be back on Monday for the post Spurs result. Hopefully we win, and hopefully my prediction is wrong again. I hope this is not the first one that I get right, and the only one I get right all season, no doubt. And please remember to like, share, comment, follow us at the Grove AFC, and also to follow Ian. He's doing a fantastic job of cannons, and I love the one of Harry Kane submitted his own one as well. He took the picture
Yeah.
of him in the cannon, so that was a nice one. So that's at Arse Cannon Picks. But yeah, thank you so much, guys. We'll see you on the next one.
Thanks, Mos. Thanks, Tabs. Bye bye.